Hello, and welcome to the Consistent Profits Podcast, brought to you by Inside Out Trading and Brian McAvoy, where the focus is on consistency. Because when you have the consistent part down, profits become easy. Hello, everybody. This is Brian McAvoy with the Consistent Profits Podcast, brought to you by Inside Out Trading. I'm excited today to be interviewing Troy Peterson of Gap Edge Trading. Thanks so much for being on the podcast today, Troy.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brian.
Yeah, glad you're here. So everybody knows Troy has over 20 years of experience in day trading. After gaining mastery in gaps in 2010, he launched Gap Edge Trading to assist traders in gaining an edge in the market day trading stocks that gap. Troy has trained and mentored hundreds of traders around the world with his mastering the gaps method, which we'll talk about later. He's master on how to day trade stocks that gap up or down. Troy's been featured on SFO Magazine, Forbes.com, Money Show, Active Trader, and Trading Markets, and has been quoted in various leading financial sites and blogs. Thanks again for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brian.
So I gotta ask. I was curious. I ran across you on LinkedIn, and a lot of the trading educators that are there have been around for a while, like myself. And so, there's a history like prior to trading. That seems kind of a common path that, a lot of people, they went to college, had a career for a while, and somewhere, around 40 plus or minus 5 years, they got into trading. And so, when I was looking at your history, I saw that it went back to, you started, trading in 2001.
Yes.
Prior to that was, college. So did you really go straight from college to trading, or was there something?
Well, technically, yes, I did. I finished my 4-year degree when I was 29 in my life, and I will come back to school. So, and then I started shortly after college. I was working a career, and it was pension administration. I was managing 401ks, profit sharing plans, doctors, lawyers, working for a Benetech administration plan service. And I saw all the money, right? And I saw that people that made all the money were the owners, right? And I thought, I was, doing this for a couple of years. I was like, I'm not stupid. I could figure out, that people that either own a business or in the financial world were the only people that had the money in this country. And that's what I learned. So I was like, well, I'm no dummy. I don't want to be. I want to figure out a way to make this work for me and my family.
Yeah.
So I started swing trading. I was able to, Alan Greenspan was lowering the interest rate, right? Back then. So keeping money in the bank, you weren't making much money. We made more than we make now, but there was it wasn't, having, $50,000 in the bank just didn't seem like it was a good idea. So I talked to my wife and said, hey, there's this newsletter, four of my buddies and I, we joined together. It was CBS Market Watch, and the guy was making calls that were just phenomenal, like 800%. And so my buddy who had been trading in Florida for a while, I showed him the newsletter, and he's like, hey, this stock's the one, man. I knew nothing. I was green as can be. Actually, the less I knew, the better, because I just followed his footsteps. And he went all in on this oil and gas stock out of China. And so he went in 25K, so I put in 20K, and the stock went from 59 cents to $7. I got out at 566 something. I made like six figures. I was kind of pissed because it didn't go to 10. The guy said we'd go to 10. But then I knew I had gotten like a chunk of money, right? And so I told my wife, I said, we could squander this or we could use it. And so then I began to want to learn how to day trade. So I pursued educators like myself and spent some time with a lab for 2 weeks, training with these guys. And I was in Southern California, and I was able to trade the open and go to work. So I could get up, at 6 a.m. and trade till 8 o'clock, 8:30, and then be at work at 9. Mm-hmm. So it worked great and that's why I was attracted to gaps, because you could just do it in that 90-minute window. So I really was drawn to it, and, cut my teeth on gaps. And the guys that trained me were really into gaps, with stocks, equities that gap up or down based upon news in the pre-market. It was like a fabricated watch list every morning. Okay. You didn't have to scan. Well, you had to scan for the gaps, but you didn't have after the market close, look for gaps, because it was always always in the morning before the market opened, in New York pre-market. But
Okay.
so that's how I kind of got my start.
Oh,
And
well, that's cool. You actually happen to kind of land the right place for you. A lot of traders, they'll start in one place and they kind of meander around trying different things before they find out what works for them.
yeah,
Yeah, very cool that you kind of started in the right spot. Very cool. Huh.
well, yeah, I actually in the process of the gaps, I was working the gaps, and I would go to work and trade the gaps, and became, you know, I did everything. I tried everything under the sun, indicators, and not bashing anybody. It just didn't work for me. And nibbled in the futures market, with S&P, 500 ES minis, and then I did a little forex, and I never slept. Doing forex, I was up at 2 in the morning, going to the bathroom, checking my pound, down, $1,000 on the British pound. And I told my wife, so this isn't working because I just can't sleep, when I'm doing forex. And so then I just dialed back down to like, just gap trading, what was working, why I began it, and then just pursued my journey from there. And then people started seeking me out, just in social media, on Twitter and stuff, to mentor them. And I never intended to start my own service, but then I just, as mentioned, people in Brazil and South America, Europe, people were just hitting me up to coach them. So I was coaching these guys. And then I just kind of one day just thought, why don't I just start like a room, And then that's how Gap traded again back in 2010. So
Huh. So you said you started a room. What a
yeah,
trade room?
trading room.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, trading room. Yeah. Where I make the calls, we go over the game plan. And I still have a trading room now, but it's pretty much like I don't really promote it much. If someone shows up, and wants to be part of it, they can. But I don't like just like in the beginning, I did it for like, 13, 12 years. I kind of backed off from I kind of enjoying this little slower paced life, I just got back from Maui yesterday. My wife, my family, we spent some time in Maui, just enjoying life. And
Nice.
my kid's getting older now. And so it's just kind of like I love trading. It's like I'll always have it. And I love helping other traders, develop an edge, and I think that's the key to trading.
Huh. Well, so as far as gap trading, for those unfamiliar with it, I want to kind of explain what you're talking about with gap trading.
Sure, sure. So when an equity closes at the night, at the end of the trading day, previous trading day, say, a stock like Microsoft, say whatever the price is, 305. And tomorrow morning it opens up on earnings or bad news or good news, and it gaps down to like say 290 or 285. That's like, that's a gap from the previous close. So whether it's up or down, it can create a shift in momentum to the upside or to the downside, depending on the move. It can be faded. And there's a lot of strategies I've incorporated based upon prior price action, which is kind of my main indicator, where the stock opens from the previous close compared to where it was. But trap traders on the long side or trap traders on the short side, there can be a big momentum play on either side during the day trading day.
Hmm. Okay. So with your gap trading, is that a day trading strategy or are you swing
Yeah,
trading? Okay.
no, purely gap day trading, purely that's what I focus on.
Okay. So you're not holding positions overnight.
No, not in the strategy, no. I mean, I do, option trades on myself, for swing trading, but for capitalization leverage, I just do options for swing trading.
Huh. Okay. Um, Now, why do you see this particular strategy as a good edge compared to other strategies?
Well, it's not necessarily a better edge than other strategies. I think anybody that's developed a strategy and honed in on some set of, I think trading is to be developed, what fits your personality. So to say my edge is better than somebody else, I don't believe so. I mean, there are a lot of people that have different edges than me and maybe make way more money than I do. I think it just fits me, and fits some of the guys I help out. I think it's because I just want to keep it simple, It's like this. It's say you see a stock gap on in the open today, just hypothetically. I didn't trade today, so I don't even know what moved today. But and it was whatever ABC stock, and it had like a million in breakout volume in the pre-market. So there's an indicator, a hint that there's something going on there, right? So the stock normally trades 200,000 shares a day. It's already done 3 times in the pre-market. It's telling you that there's something going on that you want to pay attention to. So by the night close, it's probably done 15 million after the day's trading. So it had like over X amount increase in volume. And then you watch the news, and it made the news because there was some kind of activity going there in the news realm. So I don't really pay attention to the news. I mean, I'm aware of the news. It doesn't determine my bias. I'm particularly uh, paying attention to the pre-market volume, where it's gapped to, and where it potentially could go intraday based upon the pre-market trading action. Pre-market trading action gives me a range. So if it's already had a big range in the pre-market, say it's going to move $5 up or down, that's a range that it can go back into in a day trading day. So I use like say it's not got down $10 and it rallied at the open $5 or $6,
Mhm.
that leans back to the downside is a very big potential for a target for me intraday. And it typically hits if it's not typically, but just like you've been doing this long enough, so you just kind of gather like an intuitiveness. It's based upon experience. So it's not like it's like I mean, we formulated the method, and it's like some days I don't even trade because there's no gaps. There's nothing I'm doing. So I find myself being bored a lot, and so I've done all the days of trading. I have to have 5 trades, 10 trades a day, or whatever. But now it's just like let's just find the best trade for the week and make 10R.
Okay. Huh. So generally speaking, so whenever you have a gap in the market, you're just looking to position yourself so that when it kind of re, re readjust to cover back over that gap. Is that correct? I mean, is that like the general premise of the strategy?
Yeah, I mean the way that I used to just describe it is the same as like it's like when a stock gaps to in a way that's going to break from momentum upside or downside based upon the gap. It's like like an animal, like a dog is chained up in a yard,
Mhm.
and he can only go so far, right? Because support, resistance, and all those things play. There's nothing really happening. There's no event there, right? Because it's just the market makers are holding it in those price range. But once that dog breaks that chain, like the gap breaks that trend up or down, it's free to roam. It basically is going for price discovery. So a stock is looking for price discovery. It's trying to find, like where are the buyers at? Where are they going to come in and support the stock? Or, where are the sellers at? So it's more about price discovery and paying attention to the event that's unleashed the equity from the prior support and resistance areas that previously held in the trend.
Okay. So, but you're typically looking for, I mean, when you're looking at a trade, are you looking for a particular reward to risk, or
Yeah,
generally just
I
run?
mean, yeah, I do look for particular road race. At least 3 to 1 is what ideally. I mean, I'm not looking for a scalp. 1 to 1, nothing like that. So at least a minimum 3 to 1.
Okay.
Risk 50, make 150,
Right.
potentially. And targets are like ways to describe it. Targets are very subjective. They're an eye of the beholder, right? And we're not guaranteed our targets, but like I said before, I use a lot of the pre-market data of high volume breakouts to determine like where a stock potentially could hold or move up to on the up or downside based upon the pre-market trading action that's occurred before the market opened. So the equity will respond to those prior support resistance areas that it had in the pre-market.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, that's one. And do you use other indicators? You talk about volume, obviously using price actions. What
Yeah.
other do you use other
The only
indicators?
thing I pay attention to over the years, I've kind of like had a love-hate relationship with, and have now just keened in on is the volume weighted average price.
Okay.
Pay attention to that because if a stock, particularly some of my rules, I'm just going to give them away, is if an equity in the intraday chart, 5, 15-minute, 36-minute chart, if it's below the VWAP, I'll hypothetically, in within a guideline, look to stay short. Now, if it's over the VWAP and it tends to hold that area, I'll look to be long in with that as being support area. With obviously with confirmation, this is not blindly. I have to see some prior price action support that thesis.
The VWAPs come up more and more over the last recent times in conversations with other traders. So what is it that you like about the VWAP?
Well, just in my study over the years, it's kind of like a benchmark for institutional traders that they buy or sell around that area. and the price action, if you study it, a gap that's, you didn't trade it for the day and you look at it, you'll tend to see a lot of action around the VWAP that support it. I mean, it's not foolproof in a sense, but
Right.
there's it seems to be over time, there's a very consistent attraction to buying or selling around that price area on the VWAP.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
like that because it's kind of like just like it's a no-brainer. It's right there, look, what's it doing? It's a gauge. It's a gauge.
Sure. Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things I like about it, being volume weighted. Okay, so yeah, it's taking that into account, which does matter. Um, but one thing, and it's fun in conversation, particularly with like coaching clients, they want to use moving averages and use them
Mm,
as like support or resistance or target and that kind of stuff. But what I find funny with weighted averages is the market doesn't know what the averages are.
right.
It doesn't know where that line is. Doesn't care. But
No,
if you're looking at specific numbers, like a pivot point or whatever, where yeah, the market actually turned, those numbers now are significant as far as decisions in the marketplace.
absolutely.
Averages, it's funny when people are using them for decision points that they're looking for the market to make moves. It's like no, the market doesn't know what the average of the last 50 price.
My mentor used to call them spaghetti lines. It's just
Yeah.
no meaning, he would say.
Huh. So, a couple of just like general questions for you. I mean, as far
Yeah,
as trading, I mean, what do you see most people ignoring about trading that they shouldn't?
I think in just mentoring a lot of traders and working with a lot of traders over the years and really wanting them to succeed and helping them all in the journey. I mean, trading is just it's 100% a journey of introspection. It's like it's highly psychological in a sense that you trade your beliefs, about the world, about money, your fears have a huge impact. And I think people don't really understand. I think that they gather a method but they don't take the journey of introspection about themselves and what they believe about money and the relationship with money in the world, that they may hinder themselves and sabotage themselves in ways. So it's really a psychological thing. I believe that if you really stay in this journey of trading a lot, that if you don't hone in on your fears and your past traumas or whatever could be influenced, Denise Scholes is an amazing, heard of her, Denise Scholes? She's like trading. Yeah, I mean, I've done some, coaching with her. Like 10 years ago. She revolutionized my trading, just the psychological capital that people have. I think people don't take into account that.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Um, well, since this is the Consistent Profits podcast, I have to ask, what do you consider like the top key things as far as being able to make consistent profits as a trader?
Is it's a game of odds. So money management is the key to being successful because, if you go in for a 3 to 1, risking 50 cents and potential is three, you just play out the odds. And if you stop out, you just don't take it personal. And the next one plays out for 5R, it's like it's money management is everything. So I believe that's the key to, psychological evaluation, understanding, psychological capital, and then money management and, know your entries, know your exits before you get in the trade. Um, and people always have the FOMO, it's like, oh, I could have made more, but did you follow your plan is the key. Did you execute what you're supposed to execute? And if it stopped out, you did your plan. And if it would have worked, but you didn't, but you used your stop, you're still a winning trade because you followed your plan.
Yeah. Huh. So you mentioned Denise Scholes. What other people have been influential on your journey?
Well, she was huge because just understanding, untangling ourselves from just the psychology. And then, what was that book? I can't remember now. I recommend it to everybody. Mark Douglas, Trading in His Own. One of my favorite books. He basically, your beliefs predict your future, what you believe.
Now, part of the reason I laugh is like when I ask about books, recommended books, Trading in the Zone always comes up, always.
It's a great book, though.
Oh yeah,
I mean, if you quote the guy on Twitter, he'll come after you because it's like I've never quoted him. I've heard this, and people said that he's like He doesn't want anybody quoting his book or nothing. People are going to buy it. If you like it, why wouldn't you like that? Yeah,
Yeah.
but he's got some good stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, any other books or influential people on your journey? Heroes?
Yeah, like Dr. Joe Dispenza, Supernatural. He's a meditation coach. You've heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza?
Yeah. Yeah.
You read the Placebo book. Great. It's not a trading book, but it's psychological. It's meditation, reprogramming your subconscious mind. Huge into meditation.
Well, he's
Believe in
done
proponent.
a lot of work in the field and impacted a lot of people. But I mean, well, you remember his story. He actually didn't, wasn't he like in a car wreck and like totally wrecked his,
He got run over by a car and just crushed his spine.
yeah, and actually was able to heal himself with the
Yeah,
spiritual work, which yeah, just I mean, very cool story. But yeah, I like,
very cool story.
yeah,
Well, I think it's a power. If we really understand the power we have within ourselves to create our futures. And most people get stuck in the past and keep repeating the past in the future. So if you can untangle yourself from the trauma of the past, we've all had bad things happen to us, and just move on and start creating a good future. It's not like, going to happen overnight, but if you take the journey down the rabbit hole, just, actually when I was coaching clients, I took on a bunch of coaching clients back in 2020. I took on 3 guys for 6 months. And the prerequisite I had for them before I would coach them was they had to read Dr. Joe's book, Becoming Supernatural. And so I thought that was, everyone enjoyed it because I want them to begin in a place where they can succeed, because I can give them the tools. But if they don't have the internal intuition and belief about themselves, they're not going to arrive at success.
oh yeah. Well, part of what he does that I like that can be very helpful for traders. So it's cool that you're having him read that is, and I've heard him repeat it on dozens of talks that he's done. How a lot of people, it's like they start their day in replay mode of
Yeah.
what happened yesterday, and they're just running these memory loops, and so it's like just from the moment they wake up, they're just immediately reinforcing the past without even really paying attention to it. And
Yeah.
yeah, his whole thing is you have to kind of take control and take some quiet time and then sit your body down and tell it, no, this is where we're going.
Yeah, you have to tell it. Yeah, I think the really key thing is just being mindful, just
Yeah.
being present, being aware of your thoughts is one thing I teach traders, I have them take a, pad next to their, trading desk. And I said, when you have them like, Denise Scholl's always taught us, it was like, when you have a negative emotion or negative feeling, just let it pass through you. It's not you. It's just let it go through you. It's just an event. You don't have to act on it. And I think some traders, in the beginning, in their journey, they just act on, revengeful, like that. I lost. I got to get it back. One of the worst things you could do. But letting those feelings and emotions, just being aware of them, journaling them, and being cognizant of them, and understanding them, and then maybe address them and to find out where they're coming from. Like, why is it when you trade, you get mad at your dad or your mom, or like what kind of, just kind of untangle yourself. It's really purely psychological. A lot of things are, but when you're expressing emotions, you're like, find out where did that invading thought come from? Yeah, I wasn't thinking that. And it just came to me as I got pissed off.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Huh. Well, so as far as with your gap hedge trading, you said that you had started that just because people were kind of seeking out, and you wound up helping various people decided to go ahead and make it a full-time thing. Um, what's it like when somebody comes to work with you? Are you doing one-on-one coaching? Do you have like online courses, or like I said, how do you actually go about helping people?
Yeah, I mean, particularly, I have my room, my trading room where I post, all my trades that I do, in the trade list we always focus on. And then I have purely a chat aspect to it. So there's the alert aspect, which is a separate piece to it, which by itself, nobody can say nothing, just me. Then the chat aspect is another place where they can ask questions. And, particularly if a guy signs up for the for the course, I have like an online course about the method of gap pitch trading.
Okay.
They get access to the room for like a month, free, if not free, included in the price. And that way they can kind of see, they can kind of learn. I want people to learn with, have the education and the see it in action. This is what the course is teaching. Here I am doing it every day. the
Okay.
gap list, focus on gap up, gap down. And then if they want to sign up for a coaching, they can do it by the hour. I haven't done any like 6 months coaching sessions since back in 2020. Just time wise is busy, but
Right.
I do make time out for people if they want to meet up for like an hour coaching session or whatever. But,
Oh,
but yeah, I mean, I haven't been too. I mean, we have about 20 guys in our room right now, but I'm not like back, when I first started the business, I was, never paid for any advertisement, never bought ads on Facebook or Twitter. Just everything's organic, I was all about just like if people find me, and
mm,
if they're meant to be part of my group, then they be part of my group. Because I mean, I really do enjoy helping people win,
mm.
it's not about winning. I think it's helping them find themselves to know that everyone. I think it was like Dr. Joe said was, was we've all been programmed in a way, right? So like you're back to the psychological thing is like, if you're a child and you're programmed to 7, and then I think like 12 years old kids go into a stress state before puberty and they're no longer programmable. So if you have like a traumatic child, you maybe living it out, your past and all that stuff. So it's interesting how life just flows from psychology. So my wife has a degree in psychology, so she's kind of helped me a little bit, from that area. But yeah, I do. People can come to my website and join. They can do a trial to my room. It's no charge. They want to
Oh,
kick the tires and.
yeah. You said that you have an online course. Is that like,
Mhm.
is that text based? Is it video based or?
No, it's video based. It's all on demand. I used to teach it live, like, like once a month, and it was like, and I was just kind of like, wow, this is getting tired of teaching this thing, and people sign up, and then and then it wouldn't work all the time with people's schedules, so then I just recorded it, and then once they sign up, they get lifetime access. It's stored on the server, and they get the password and log on.
Okay. And you said that's where, with that, you were teaching your method.
Yeah, correct. That's the method I
Um,
teach.
about how long does it take for somebody to get through that?
The course is like 5 hours.
Okay. So,
Kind of
um,
go over some basics and then build from there into the method what we do.
okay. So once they are exposed to the training, about how long does it take before they're kind of, starting to get up on their own 2 feet and starting to get, competent with it? I mean, was it like, a couple of weeks, 30 days, 3 months, 6 months?
I mean, most people come, usually people don't start out with education. They usually most people because typical people that have money, doctors, lawyers, dentists, they kind of have like an ego. They think that they've mastered, right? They've mastered in a sense, they've been successful, right? If you have money in a sense to trade, 50, 100,000, you've done something right. Maybe you flipped a house or whatever, and you want to invest in trading. And most people from my experience don't typically go to education first. They try to do it on their own.
Sure.
But I mean, but I put the basics in there for the people that don't, just, like my son, if he just started, he could watch it and learn. He knows nothing about trading.
Okay.
16, he's never traded. So,
Okay. No, I was just curious. I've actually been kind of surprised. Some method providers that I've talked to, um, they'll say it takes 6 months to a year before you're pretty competent with their method.
more profitable.
Yeah, and so that's why I was curious. And others, it can be fairly quick if it seems straightforward. And yours seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, very straightforward, very simple method. I mean, it's just like, I give them everything that I've gathered over, the years of trading that I've done.
Okay.
I don't typically like to say, how long, because I think it's up to the person. I've seen people come on and just run with it and do better than me, and I think that's great, And then I've seen people struggle, and I've seen people take a lot longer. So I think it's if somebody's hungry, if someone's disciplined, they could learn quickly.
Okay.
I think just like with anything you do in life.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. Like I said, some guys, it's like 6 months. They know that that's kind of the baseline. Others,
Yeah,
30 days.
yeah. I wouldn't say, a lot of people will ask me, they'll send me a message or meet up with me online to chat. and they'll ask me, when can I be profitable? And I always try to tell them, I say, you don't focus on the money at first. Focus on learning the method. And the way that I was able to successfully be able to, become a full-time trader, I started part-time, was my wife and I both had jobs. And if you can work a job or have income come in, it takes a lot of pressure off you to
Oh,
be able to format and trade. And so I think the less pressure and the people that seem to do the worst are the ones that had to like make money, you know, and have to like pay the mortgage. That's the worst place to be in, honestly.
oh, true, true. Because yeah, then you start trying to force stuff and you do all kinds of stupid things. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, huh. So, well, as far as with trading your method, now you're dealing. You said that you had traded forex at another time, but you're trading strictly stocks, right? With your
Yeah,
guy.
stocks and I swing trade for my retirement plan, my wife and I with options,
Okay.
but yeah, I do strictly just trade equities, and I've been with the same broker since 2003, TradeStation. And
Okay.
people say, "Oh, you can go with this platform." I like TradeStation because they have platform and brokerage together, and it's all I know. So I mean,
Yeah. No, and that makes sense. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Besides, there's a price to a learning curve.
absolutely, the new platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably better ones out there, but hey, this works for me. So
Well, TradeStation's not a bad platform. So yeah, I mean,
no, no, it's
it
not.
works for you, sure.
And
Rock and roll.
I and I think that trading, should be boring. You know, if you're not bored, I mean, to me personally, I mean, boring, I mean, for what I do, I mean, people may be scalping, I've never found any success in scalping personally. It's just 5 minute, 15 minute, 30 minute, 60 minute setups, sometimes early uh, on a real advanced gap method, I could get in on the 15-second chart at the open. But that's like, I would never like, that's just from experience doing it myself, but it's nothing I would like say, hey, you do this. And the guy like, it can be difficult. There's a lot of advanced setups that I would never teach, myself with somebody unless I was mentoring them one-on-one.
Right. Yeah. Um,
You probably know that.
well, yeah. No, and it's good that you keep it simple. Well, so as far as what you're doing though, would your strategy also be applicable maybe for somebody who wants to trade futures?
I get that question a lot. I don't think so. I mean, yeah, I think that that could be true actually on event days, like, say there's like, a bombing. Remember back there, I remember there's been catastrophic events that the market always responds to, like, there's a bombing in Spain, shoot, that's like 12 years ago, and then where the market reacts violently to the news.
Mhm.
And, but those events they're not like every day, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
There was actually a guy, I can't remember his name. I think he switched to a hedge fund. He was actually an educator. Scott was his name. I can't remember his last name. And it was his website used to be called Trade the Gap.
Okay.
He particularly just traded off the triple Qs, and I think he had a method that he developed. So yeah, there is a way you can do it, but I never knew his method. But he later turned into managing people's money. So he's probably doing quite well.
Okay. But so for you and your students, you guys are focusing primarily on the stock market, the U.S. stock market.
Yeah, just equities. Yeah. Yeah. US market particularly.
What would you consider a minimum capital for somebody to be able to trade your method effectively?
Well, you have to have 25 minimum to open up a margins account with a broker, but I wouldn't go in 25 because it's just like you have a couple of days lost, you're below the minimum. So I'd say at least 35, 35, give yourself a little leverage to not sweat a couple losses, in the learning curve. And I always teach people to start small, have your risk amount, set, our method set to like, $100, make it worth, that it's painful when you do lose, because otherwise you're never going to learn. If you're losing $10 and it doesn't bother you, you're not going to learn from the mistake. But lose 100, make 300, lose 200, make 150. It's a purely just a percentage gain,
Uh-huh.
if you're following your method strictly, and keeping stats is very important, and particularly the time of day. Sometimes, after the morning session, it's probably not lately markets has been relentlessly strong. sideways, choppy, and I was glad I went to Hawaii.
Well, besides, this is a really good the time of year to go there. Actually, the whales are still there, aren't they?
Yeah, and we were in Maui, and the evening the winds would pick up a little bit. Yeah, so we were in Wailea. Yeah, I didn't want to come back. I was like, well, why don't you just extend it out? But we have a dog, and someone watching our dog for us, so we couldn't extend it any longer.
Oh, Wailea is nice. My sister's she's been living on Maui since '87. She's been there for a long
Oh,
time.
where does she live?
She's over in Makawao.
Okay, I know where that is.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
cool.
not a bad place to live.
Yeah, I've been there a number of times. Actually,
Yeah, I think the trading time wouldn't work too well though, because you get it early in the morning though.
well, for a lot of people, it works.
Yeah,
Because
I
then in
mean,
case
so
you
now
want
I,
to do
I
their
get up
other
at
stuff during the day.
5:30 West Coast time, so that would probably be 2:30. Yeah, 2:30. Yeah, that'd be
Well,
early.
I'm on the East Coast, so yeah, it's 6 hours difference for me to Maui.
Yeah.
So yeah, about three. It should be like either two or three for you, depending on daylight or standard time.
Where you located at?
I'm in North Carolina.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. I haven't been out that way. It's very nice out there.
Oh yeah, yeah, I like it here. It's a gorgeous state. Probably some of the prettiest areas on the East Coast, and this I just know from driving through them. North Carolina, gorgeous. Tennessee, beautiful.
Oh, yeah, I love Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean mountains, trees, tons of lakes and rivers and everything. Kentucky, oh, gorgeous. Horse country up there.
So what if you could if you probably live in the place you want to live, but if you don't though, what city would you live in? Like, because as a trader, we don't need to live in big cities. We want to live like a nice area, quiet, small place. Where would you pick in North Carolina, or maybe you're already there?
Well, I'm kind of already there. I mean, right now I'm in the Raleigh-Durham area, which is
Okay, Raleigh. I'm not very familiar.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
This is a great area here. And found out I'd forgotten about it. I got reminded not too long ago that Van Tharp lived in Cary, which is about 10 minutes from
Yeah, that's exactly right. You did.
Cary's a pretty choice little town, but
Is it?
oh yeah, yeah, very nice, very nice. Very clean, well kept. Just yeah, really super nice part of town. So yeah, this whole area is good. I mean, North Carolina is a really nice state. You got mountains, you got the coast, and moderate weather, but it's still four seasons.
That's nice.
No fire ants. You can grow real grass here. But there are lots of pluses compared to like a little further south or further north. So um,
Yeah, that's true. My wife and I were we've been here for 3 years in Arizona, and we're like, we're ready to go. And our son's got 2 years left of high school, but we told him, like, I don't know, after going to Maui, we're like, you know what? Why we live in a place that let's just get out. So we're actually exploring, going to explore some places this summer to think about
oh yeah.
changing location, sell our house, and do
So
something different.
where are you thinking about going?
We don't know yet. We actually in Tennessee. We're looking at Tennessee, Florida, Texas, and maybe we'll check out North Carolina. I'm just kind of
And
looking for something different. We've lived all over the place. We lived in California, Oregon, Idaho, Arizona.
oh,
Yeah, being a trader, you can actually move around.
oh yeah, I've lived
We've
in
moved
nine
a lot.
states. Yeah,
Huh?
I've lived in 9 states.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're probably like us. So you found the perfect place then.
Well, I came here by choice. I was in Colorado before here,
What
and
part?
I was in Grand Junction.
Oh, okay. I one of my clients lives in Grand Junction. She owns a ranch out there.
And
Her name's Deb. Yeah.
yeah,
We
great.
uh we actually we lived in Fort Collins for a period of time.
Fort Collins is nice. Yeah. Um,
Windsor, actually, right next to them. Windsor was right next to Fort Collins.
yeah. Yeah. One of the things that's nice about trading and yeah, working for yourself is yeah, you're like, oh, I'm ready for something new, and you just kind of pick up and move.
That's what we're ready for. We're ready for.
So yeah, very cool. Um,
Yeah.
well, I tell you what, I really have enjoyed this. And if somebody wants to, connect with you, they like what they've heard here today. It's probably the best way to catch up with you, just to swing by your site.
Yeah. Tradingeducation.com.
Okay. And so that's probably the best place. And they can reach out to you through there, or look into your offerings there.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, yeah, they can do that. They could send me a message through there. My email is troy@gapagetrading.com, or you send me an email through the website, a message through there. Yeah. I used to do like these webinars all the time, and I haven't done any of that for a while. I've been pretty complacent with the with gap trading, but I have a core group of guys I work with right now, so I'm actually just happy to help the guys. We're kind of like a little team. Some guys actually do the lift for me because I've trained them so well. They'll do the gappers for me, so I have to get up as early.
Right. Well, you said that you've got the course, but you're also doing weekly videos, right?
No, no weekly videos. I used to.
Okay.
Yeah, but the course in the room of what I offer, and then I offer coaching if somebody, you know, that I can't remember though. On the website, what you have. I think it's just by hour or half an hour. If I remember right.
All right. Okay. So, but you got the
But
course.
typically a good coaching session goes an hour, typically.
Well, you said you got the room as well, though.
Yes, the trading room with trading alerts. I post charts in there. I do videos in there sometimes. I can do. It's in Telegram. If you know Telegram app,
Mhm.
yeah, you can post live feeds in there. Um, and it's just I used to pay a lot of money to be on those live chat services. I can't remember the name of them, but it's been a few years. But they're like $1,000 a month to run one of those rooms. And I thought, why don't I just go with Telegram? Everybody seems it's free, you know,
Yeah.
that's overhead.
Yeah. Well, it works. So very
It
cool.
it does.
Well, again, Troy, thanks for taking the time for this today. It's been a
Yeah,
pleasure.
thanks for inviting me. I appreciate the offer. I really do.
Very very cool hearing about your strategy. It's different, which is cool. And
Yeah,
also excellent that you got it focused in. You know where it works with the stock market, and you got the support going with your group and everything. So excellent. Yeah, very good. Um, and maybe at some point we can have you back on again. So see how things are going down the road. See where you've traveled to next.
yeah, right, Brian. Thank you. Nice meeting you and connecting with you, and I appreciate the offer to be here.
Yeah, thanks again. Well, everybody, thanks for being here and listening in today. And we'll see y'all on the next episode of the Consistent Profits Podcast. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today on the Consistent Profits Podcast, brought to you by Inside Out Trading. Make sure to swing by Inside Out Trading and pick up your copy of The Proven Formula for Consistent Monthly Profits. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to subscribe on your favorite channel, and we'll see you on the next episode. Cheers.